A very, 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 very special guest, and very because I got to meet him. This is, I think, 2 weeks ago in Cape Town. He is a YouTube Black Voices Fund graduate of year 2022. He is such an amazing person, but he also has a greater story than what you guys might actually probably know about him out there. It's the one and only Justus Nandwa.
Drum rolls.
Have you gotten fake drum rolls before?
Oh man.
These are fake, but they're expensive. They're fingers made by God. So ningeumiza sijui tungeendaje. But anyway, congratulations first and foremost.
Thank you
For all that you're doing, and welcome to Nation FM.
man. It's a pleasure.
But let's for us to understand who you are first, let's start with your speech that you gave at your graduation ceremony, which really got me very confused about who you are, in the sense that I was very shocked at the things you've been through for you to be where you are today.
Yes.
So tell us, you are apparently a very introverted kid, and not by choice, but because culturally it's just you're meant to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about your background and how that plays into who you've become today.
You know, our socialization pretty much defines what and who we become in future. And so myself growing up, I grew up in a very conservative, environment, and we were poor, to say the least.
Yeah.
So going to school with shoes, like I said in
Yeah.
that speech,
Yeah.
was something that, people would look at you and like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I remember there's a time I tried to go to school with shoes, what you'd call shoes then.
Yeah.
And the embarrassment.
Wow.
I was feeling embarrassed for
Wow.
wearing shoes. I had to
Wow.
hide them in my bag.
Wow.
So we had normalized being poor. And so that clouds your mind, especially as a young boy growing up, because you have no reference of what it means to do well in life. The people that you could look up to perhaps is the policeman next, door, or
Principal.
school principal.
Nothing beyond
and
that.
my head teacher used to actually had a bike, this
Yeah.
black
Wait.
mamba thing.
Sonko.
Hey, we on your mse. So you can imagine the rest of the teachers. So we had nothing really to look forward to. We were just studying because at the end of the school.
Yeah.
And so what that meant is we couldn't even dream,
Yeah.
because you're dreaming to be what? And so from school going back home, the more or less the same narrative. And it's either you working in the farm or you're in school or maybe in church. So life was confined to very basic things, so to speak. And so for me, I couldn't even realize that there's something that can come out of me.
Wow.
Because there was no one to inspire me to become anything more than I could see around me. And that is where I grew up. It was so bad that culturally, children were not meant to, speak
Yeah.
where people are actually having conversations. So you grow up knowing that it's not in your place to question anything. It's not in your place to ask questions or to even ask for clarification. Our parents in themselves, I think, were also going through some very traumatic experiences
Yeah.
growing up even themselves.
And
because-
raising children, and they're just
Yes.
thinking, guys, I have enough
Yeah.
things on my plate.
Because even the way they could communicate to us in itself was traumatic. Now that I think
Passive-aggressive.
about it
Yeah.
in retrospect,
Yeah.
it was aggressive,
Yeah.
unnecessarily.
Unwarranted. It was not necessary.
Something that, your parent could just be, simply ask,
Yeah,
kindly
yeah.
help me with that cup.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It becomes so, you want me to die? I'm seated here and the cup is
And
there,
the
you
cup
can't
is-
bring it. And you're wondering, how was I supposed to think you wanted a cup? Me, I just know you're seated down and you're not telling me that in this house you guys want to kill me, you can't help me.
Our voices were suppressed.
Yeah.
I remember there was a day, visitors came to the house.
Yeah.
I think from church. And so as a young boy, I think I was around 8 years. So we could sit on the floor when visitors are in the house.
Yeah.
So that time when the visitors were about to go, so they stood up to pray. We were seated on the floor. One of the guys who was seated next to me stood up, and actually his foot was on my hand. As a boy, I sat there in pain until he finished praying,
Wow.
because I couldn't imagine opening my mouth
Oh my
to
God.
say that the visitor is stepping on my hand.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't have that voice.
So you take that pain, you deal with it.
You can't even cry.
But do you feel like, and not that it's a good thing, but if you didn't go through that, would you be Justus Nandwa today? Would you be one of the fastest growing YouTubers, let's say in Africa? Would you be that person today?
I don't know. And so, I mean, I could be better or maybe worse. This is my thinking. It has taken me a lot of effort and intentionality for me to overcome that trauma and to go beyond it to become, the many things that I am today. So I'm imagining perhaps I could have not taken that long to be where I am today if my mind was liberated early enough, if the opportunities were availed to me on time and the support system was in place. So I think what I am today is by the grace of God. What I have had to overcome, not because I have had so much experience, and support, but I think God's grace has been that which has propelled me really to be where I am today. I've had to overcome a lot of obstacles and change of mindset. I have had to unlearn things, how to ask questions, how to say no, because I have grown up knowing
how to even just speak.
Yes,
because you are never meant to speak, and boundaries. It means you're stepping on me. Excuse me, can I? Because imagine kids of today, someone will be like, excuse me, did you just stand and not notice you're stepping on me?
Exactly.
I'm sure if you had your kids say that, you would be shocked. It would take you way back. But you see, it's those small things that actually make up who we are. There is no joy in suffering. There is no joy in suffering at all. But I'm glad that you've been able to use that pain to also highlight the pain of others. Talk to us about your YouTube page. Tell us what started this journey for you. Why did you decide to, sort of use YouTube as your anchor, as your platform to tell your stories? And why did you decide the kind of stories that you tell?
When I was exposed later on in life a little bit, because from primary school I moved to Nairobi to come and do my high school level. And unfortunately it was not really Nairobi because I was in Kiambu in a boarding school. So I saw very little of Nairobi. Very little of Nairobi anyway. And for 4 years I was enclosed. So by the time I'm really facing what Nairobi really is was, when I'm finishing high school.
Were you conned when you got to Nairobi? I'm sure you have a con story.
Oh man, that's another story.
Now when you don't experience Nairobi like that, tunajua wakukam, huyu ni wakukam, huyu wacha akuje tu tutamuonyesha.
I was so naive that even when I came to Nairobi, I had no idea how other tribes sound like. When someone else speak, in a different dialect, I couldn't even tell, the difference between Kisii, Kikuyu, and that's how naive.
And doesn't even help that Kisii sounds like Kikuyu and Kikuyu sounds like Kisii.
Exactly.
So those are the only people in the world.
But I mean, slowly by slowly, I began to appreciate what it means to enjoy life and to, celebrate the little moments. I had never celebrated, for instance, a birthday.
Wow.
So I was like, what is it? Even today, I still struggle.
Wow. Because you sort of feel, is this necessary?
I don't attach a lot of value to it, but I'm trying. I'm trying. And so my mind became a little liberated. Thanks to education and my interaction now with people from different cultures. And I began to look at my story as a basis for me to really listen to other people, because I had the ability to listen. The fact that I couldn't talk or express myself as such, I think I was growing more as a listener. And so that was a powerful tool that I realized I had. And people could talk to me, people could confide in me, and I could listen to them, and they, even without giving a lot of solutions. And so that is one of the things that I realized I could use to actually help other people, because I wanted to see other people do what I couldn't do, growing up. Just being able to express themselves. And so that is how I began this platform. Where I invite people to come and share their journey, their experiences, through which they can be able to inspire someone else who thinks that their journey is,
is difficult
and there's no hope and that kind of thing.
And that's how Shared Moments with Justus was born.
And that is how Shared Moments with Justus was born. And I chose YouTube because at the moment it was, number one, accessible. It was, I didn't have to spend a lot to be able to put it together. And so
when we come back, we'll talk about your first ever video, how that happened, in terms of who are you thinking of? How did you pick your guests? And also maybe some of the very consequential sort of episodes that you've done and how they've stuck out for you. It would be nice to know which are some of the stories that you had and you were like, guy. And also, if that also sort of makes you get into the point where you feel like, hey, you might also need help, because the kind of stories that you get from people are quite sad also. Let's pay some bills. When we come back, we have the man of the moment, the guy who gave the keynote speech at the 2022 graduation of YouTube Black Voice graduates. I mean, it was really nice to see a Kenyan, and especially you doing it. And it was really nice to hear your story that day. And that's why I said you must be my first guest from that whole cohort. So right about now, let's pay some bills. When we come back, we've got Justus, Nandwa in the building. Keep it Nation FM Drive.
As the climax to Amnesty KE attends celebrations, Amnesty Kenya brings you the Freedom Festival at Imara Ole Sereni